Hey everybody! There is snow on the way in the next couple of days. Some of you were very disappointed that I didn't give you video of the Vala Eagle 1 scooter in operation. So it's working. I've been riding it off-road mainly, and I took it for a spin the other day. We did about 15 miles, 13 to 15 miles off-road, full pelt, all-wheel drive, doing all the crazy stuff. I haven't done a range test on the road yet. That's partly because I don't have mirrors. It's very different riding it up here on a fairly quiet country road to riding it through town. So for that reason, I'm holding off when it comes to any kind of long distance trip. But the other thing that a lot of you have asked me to do recently is to give you an update on what's been going on with the Chevrolet Bolt EV battery pack. For those who don't know, the Chevrolet Bolt EV, the 2017 through 2019 Bolts, had a recall at the tail end of last year. Now that recall was to address a problem in which certain model year Chevrolet Bolts were catching fire. They were catching fire after they had been recharged to 100% state of charge or had been driven a short distance with a full battery pack and then parked up. Now, the reason for this is still unknown, at least it's not publicly being discussed. There are theoretically multiple reasons as to why this is. Maybe there's something wrong with the battery management system in the Chevrolet Bolt EV. There might be an impurity in the LG Chem battery packs that were originally used for the 2017 through 2019 Chevrolet Bolts. I should point out also at this point that later 2019 Chevrolet Bolt EVs onwards, so that's late 2019 Bolts and 2020 Bolts, aren't included in the original recall because they use battery packs that were made by LG in the United States at a new facility that it built in collaboration with General Motors. The 2017, which is what this car is, and the one behind the camera, they have battery packs that were made by LG Chem in South Korea. And I believe they are made on the same production line as the battery packs for the Hyundai Kona EV. Sorry about that. Put my hand on the bell. It shows that the Vala Eagle 1 has a great bell. Needs indicators and mirrors though. The battery pack problem with the Chevrolet Bolt EV, as I've already said, is one that is currently being investigated, and so far nothing publicly has been stated about the actual cause, but we do know from the Hyundai Kona that it too had problems with some of the examples of that car catching fire, like the Chevrolet Bolt. I believe a half dozen or so Bolts have caught fire, a half dozen or so Kona EVs have caught fire, and the same as Chevrolet did, Hyundai issued a recall. Now, they reprogrammed the battery management system in the Kona EV and kind of left it at that because they couldn't reproduce the problem in a lab. But as far as I'm aware, Chevrolet are still working on the problem. A couple of you have reached out in the last couple of days and asked me if I've known about an update. Now, when this problem originally surfaced, General Motors issued a recall for the Bolt EV in which it downgraded your battery pack's battery management system. The reason that downgrade happened was because General Motors wanted to make sure that your car didn't catch fire. And one of the easiest ways to do that as a stopgap measure was to limit the state of charge at which your battery could reach. We know that all of the incidences of fires have one common problem. The batteries were either at almost full or completely full when the bad stuff happened. So GM rolled out a software update and forced cars that had been updated to only charge to about 90% state of charge. That means you have a reduction in range, but it does mean that your battery pack is protected. The badness happening at the top of the pack is probably due to one of the cells overcharging or there being something else happening during that process. Yesterday, however, General Motors issued an update on a Facebook group of all things, and as much as I hate Facebook, I did reactivate my account just so that I could read the Q&A. I'm going to read it to you here because I want to make sure that I've done it right. Now, in the statement that General Motors issued yesterday, it says, we wanted to comment here to address some of the common questions in this thread about the Bolt EV recall. While our engineers continue to work around the clock to make progress on a permanent fix, it's important that impacted owners take steps to mitigate any risk. To learn if your Bolt EV is impacted, please visit, and they give a website. Question: do I need to visit my dealer for a software update, or can I just change and charge to Hilltop or 90%? Why? The answer is we strongly encourage all owners affected visit their dealer to obtain the software update. This automatically sets the maximum charge to 90% and will provide peace of mind for the customer and prevent them from having to routinely verify that the car is set to Hilltop Reserve. Hilltop Reserve is a mode that came with the original Bolts that allowed you to charge to a certain level and not go beyond that. Question: if I've not taken my car to my dealer for the software update, are there any implications for my vehicle warranty? And this is an important one. GM says no, the vehicle warranty would not be affected. We strongly encourage all owners affected to visit their dealer and obtain the software update. Another important question: is the car safe to drive and have in my garage? GM's answer is, based on our investigation to date and available data from verified incidents, our analysis indicates that reducing the state of charge to 90% will provide a safety margin and mitigate the risks of further incidents. The final question is, will the 90% charge limit be permanent? If so, what do you plan to do to make customers whole who expected a return to full range? And the answer is, and again, this is very important, we're continuing to investigate the root cause, and our intention is to remove the 90% charge limit once the investigation has been completed and defective battery packs have been identified and replaced or repaired. So the important thing here with this statement is to know, I hit the bell again, I'm sorry. The important thing to know here is that GM does appear to be working on a fix that is more than what Hyundai did with the Kona. So with the Kona, they kind of went, yeah, we've changed the battery management software, sucks to be you. And I know that there is a class action currently going on involving Hyundai and the Kona and a lot of very unhappy customers. There is also one, as I understand it, going on right now with the Bolt. But GM has said, certainly in this letter, that it plans to not leave customers' cars at 90%, and it wants to either replace or repair, which is a great indication for those of us who have Chevrolet Bolts that something is certainly in the pipeline. If you consider that on Sunday, I think it is, on the 14th, there is going to be a reveal of the next generation Chevrolet Bolt. It's not kind of the next generation, it's a mid-cycle update. I should really call it a mid-cycle refresh, as well as the unveiling of the Bolt EUV, which is going to be a slightly larger, more SUV style Bolt than this thing right here. And I think that GM is cognizant, considering all of the big statements it's made recently about its investment in electric vehicles, that it needs to get this right from the get-go. Personally, I would get the update done, and I haven't noticed anything bad happen. I know a couple of months ago we did an update where we talked about the fact that both my wife's Bolt and my Bolt suffered some issues a couple of days after having the update done. In my case, it was an ABS sensor lighting up because the weather was really wet. And I can't remember what happened with my wife's. I think it was like the master warning light, which then went off, and the car has been fine. Neither car have had to go to the dealer. Both cars have been driving fine. They've done a couple of hundred or couple of thousand miles, I would guess, since that, and they're doing just fine. I haven't heard of anybody having any detrimental effects to the update, other than a couple of people who had similar weird ghosts in the shell for a few hours or few days after the update, and now their cars are just fine. So there you go. That is the update. This is what the Vala Eagle One looks like when it's fully charged and fully assembled. I have been playing with it. I haven't really got a full review for you yet. It's a fun thing. It's kind of dangerous on the road, I would say, because of the top speed it can manage. And for that part, I've tried to take it off-road as much as I possibly can. I also tried to throw myself off it the other day and succeeded on a dirt trail because I wanted to see how robust this could be. You know, if you come off it badly, what happens? I did have all of my gear at GAT, all the gear all the time. I'm not wearing my motorcycle boots, motorcycle pants, because I literally rode up the road and back to start this, which I know is a cheat, but there you go. There are going to be some changes for the rest of the week, however. There is a really big winter storm on the way, and living in a very rural location, our power doesn't get buried in tunnels and come to our house subterraneously. It comes from poles, and when there's heavy snow and bad weather, you can bet your bottom dollar that somewhere between here and the nearest town, which is sort of 6, 7, 8 miles away, there's going to be a downed power cable or something else. So I anticipate there will be a power cut. We are being forecast 1 foot to 1.5 feet in the first 2 days in the valley. So here it's going to be 2+ feet. And I suspect that means that videos for the rest of the week, which includes Thursday's video and TEN on Saturday, may be impacted. So if you're watching this now and you're going like, why is there no more videos from the week? And it's a Saturday, now you know why. I'll be back as soon as I can, but in the meantime, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks again to the wonderful people who support us. There's the folks on my right. They are our $15 to $49 a month Patreon supporters. Special thanks to our $50 a month patrons. That's John Lyons, Regine Fellows, Jeffrey Songster, Anthony Coates, Anonymous Freak, Paul Conway, Laura Sanborn, and Tesla in the Gong. And our deepest gratitude to our $100 a month Patreon supporters. That's Marcel Ward, Reggie Watts, Sean Ueda, JP Fagerback, Will Graylin, and Ian. I hope I got all of your names there. You can join all of those amazing supporters by following a link below. There's also a link to Ko-fi or Patreon or Bitcoin, depending on which way you'd like to donate to the show. There's also a link to our swag store at Redbubble, so give that a go if you are so interested. You'll also find a link to our free Discord chat room, so if you want to find out how I'm coping with the snow, because I think my cell phone might continue to work even if everything else goes out, maybe sign up there and you can chat with me and the rest of the team there, even if there are no more videos this week. There's also a suggestion for a video to watch, so check that out if you haven't, and I'll be back really soon as is safe to do so. Thanks for joining me, and as always, keep evolving.